Hello and welcome to the CSN3M podcast. I'm your host, Andrew Wade, where each week we break down mindsets, mentoring, and myth busting, all as they pertain to nutrition and wellness. Our podcast is brought to you by our in-house program, the OptiLife Academy, an online do-it-yourself course focused on helping people build habits for life. If you go to optilifeacademy.com, you can try the free trial, and if you check out with code Andrew at the end, you get 10% off. Today's episode is a very special episode. I'm actually joined here in our little makeshift studio with the newest dietitian in the case-specific family, Mr. Brad Beatty.
Hello.
Hey, Brad. Brad is a very rare spotting of another male dietitian. For those of you that don't know or have not noticed, the field of dietetics is very female focused. I think the Academy of Nutrition is somewhere around 95% female. So it is very rare when you get a Guyatitian spotting. We're rare enough that we actually have our Guyatitian as our slogan. So Brad is a dietitian, just like I am. He actually lives and works out in the Hollidaysburg, Altoona region of Pennsylvania, and he is opening a case-specific nutrition office here in Altoona, which is where we are sitting now. And so today it's going to be a unique chance for us to get to know Brad a little bit, as well as discuss some topics related to nutrition with Brad. So Brad, welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for having me. Thanks for coming out.
And I was really excited to do this podcast today. This is going to be a part of the series that, we kind of are interviewing a lot of the different dietitians in the group, just so that our listeners can sort of get to know the case-specific family and, sort of our focuses and our drive and desire to help others. So going back to what I said before, dietetics is not a traditionally male profession, not to say that it can't continue to diversify as it has, but on the case-specific team, I have been the only guy to date. We have, a wellness coach and a strength coach, and our director of consulting is a male, but all the other dietitians so far are female. So first off, I'd like to thank you for joining me. That's always a good thing. But second, that begs the question, right, which is traditionally, there's what I'll call like the dietitian, or I'll even call it the wellness professional story, which is most of us played some sort of sport or were interested in activity in high school, and then it led to us deciding we were interested in the body as we went to college. So we start taking some prereqs, and then by the time you take some basic courses that are focused on physiology or whatever it is, you start to split into your respective disciplines, whether it be physical therapy or exercise science, or dietetics, or some people go the more pre-med route or nursing. And traditionally what's happened, and I'm happy that it's changing, is you would see a lot of the males shift to the PT and to the exercise science, and the females would shift to dietetics. And the good news is that we are seeing a lot more females in the exercise science and in the PT realm, and we're starting to see more males in the dietetics realm. But so this begs the question for you, Brad, is what made you sort of merge into the dietetics path with your background and interest in health and wellness?
So I didn't. It's kind of interesting. I didn't play any sports or anything. What got me initially interested in nutrition and health and fitness and wellness was that I just like to work out, and I would work out. I'd make my own food. I started kind of like keeping track of my food and paying attention to it, and just kind of seeing how I could use my nutrition to benefit my own personal health, wellness, fitness. Yeah. And that was whenever I was in high school, primarily when that started. And then the reason that whenever I got out of high school and wanted to shift and focus more just on nutrition and do that instead of the exercise route was, to me, I could see a lot more complexity to the nutrition situation than what most people would really see on the surface level, because I feel like it's something that a lot of times people think you can just Google and find an answer to.
Yeah.
And
healthy nutrition's easy, right?
Yeah, but it's so much more than just that. Nutrition's not just telling somebody what to eat. And as a dietitian, which Andrew, you can probably, people ask you all the time, like, well, what should I eat?
It's like without knowing anything about them, it's just like, tell me what to eat. It's like, that's not really what we do. Right?
Yeah, or they'll say like, I know what to eat and I just don't know.
I don't do it. Yeah.
Don't do it. And it's like, that's the whole point, is there's such a big lifestyle back end factor to it that no one accounts for.
Yeah, the
and
behavioral component.
Yeah.
It's our time, our schedules, our interactions with people, the emotional, the cultural. It's so much more dynamic than just what to eat, period, end of story.
Yeah, and to me, that complexity of just the nutrition component of your life was what kind of drew me to it, because at the end of the day, if you're exercising because you want to lose weight but your diet's terrible, you're not going to be able to do it. And if you can't find a way to make your diet work in a way that you can achieve whatever goal you're trying to achieve, it's definitely a limiting factor. So that's probably what my main reason for going that route as opposed to an exercise route was.
Yeah, the complexity. And it's funny because you start to see too that there's definitely traits of an individual practitioner that kind of nudge us one way or another, where the people that go into the physical therapy route are very like anatomically focused, right? They're very interested in the measurements and like the physical in that way, where a lot of the people that are in the world of dietetics get more and more interested in the psychological components, right? And so they're both science, but it goes back to our body is a very complex system, and we need practitioners that are able to help other people in a variety of those areas. So I'm happy that you merged towards dietetics as I did, and it's funny. I did play sports in high school, but my drive came from an interest in fueling my body for those sports, and then led to sort of an interest in the complexity that was nutrition, just like you said. So I'm happy you went to the dietetics side. So give us a little bit of background on school, where you went to school, just sort of what we'll call your professional credentials, and then sort of pre-case specific nutrition, what you've been up to professionally.
So I went to Penn State for my undergrad. So I live in the Hollidaysburg, Altoona area, so that's about 40 minutes from the main Penn State campus. So I went to Penn State, did my undergrad, and then I did my dietetic internship / residency through a school based out of Allentown, PA. But I actually did all my rotations still around the Altoona area.
Nice. You did like a distance?
Yeah. So I just set up all my rotations, and I did all of those there for 1,200 hours. And then last May in 2019, I sat for my board exam, took that, passed, and so I've been a dietitian for about 9 months now.
9 months.
9 months, yeah.
And now what have you been doing here locally as a dietitian?
So I work in a hospital setting right now, and I work at a corporate wellness setting. So those are kind of my jobs. And then I started, I'm starting up here at Dorman Sports Performance, so that's where I'm going to be opening the case-specific nutrition office. So I'm soon to be accepting more and more
clients. It's coming. Now I know that you have a relationship with Norman's that kind of predates obviously just this office. So and that you and I, obviously we've talked about this, but you also have the background as sort of a trainer and coach. So do you want to talk a little bit about that as well? Yeah. So all through college, once I was 18, I got a personal training certificate, and I started training at the YMCA that's around the area here. And then about 3 years ago, I met Freddie Dorman, who owns Dorman Sports Performance, which now houses multiple different businesses, including Hallman Physical Therapy, Scorch and Boxing, Love, Sweat and Fitness, Personal Training Studio. We're all kind of in the same location. But once I met Freddie, I started doing a lot of sports performance for him. So just with different athletes, I worked with the general athlete that we'd get here at the gym, and then I also led a lot of the training that we did at the one hockey rink in the area too. So I did all of their off-ice training there for a while too. But primarily all that I did through college was I did personal training and I did sports performance training. So those were my two main areas of focus whenever I was working through school. And I still do both of those today. So, yeah. And it's obviously in the nutrition pairs well with that. Yeah. I mean, sports performance, it's absolutely mandatory to have your nutrition correct. Mm-hmm. If nutrition's off, performance cannot exist. And so it's exciting, and I have no doubt that, Dorman's is excited to be able to add that dietitian office, right? Because that's, we're sitting here and it's such an awesome facility, like you said, having the physical therapy, having the boxing, having the personal training, having the CrossFit setup, having the Olympic setup, having an actual gym, and then now on top of that, hey, you can also meet with Brad, get your nutrition on track, whether you're trying to, change your body or change your habits, or whether you're an athlete that's seriously looking to compete in a variety of options. So it sounds like it's a pretty fantastic one-stop shop opportunity for them to be able to promote in this area.
Yeah, it is. And I think we're all kind of excited to get to work together and mesh services and in areas of practice, because all of them obviously cater to one another. So
yeah, and as a side note, this is my first time in the facility, but it's a massive gym.
Yeah,
big
very
facility,
big
open space, lots of room. Obviously, the offices that are happening with the case specific, it's under construction and underway, and the Hallman Physical Therapy is a nice space that's niched off to the side as well. But this really is a one-stop shop place that's large and can accommodate a lot of people, and so it's pretty exceptional to have something this big and this able to to help people in one set region. I know a lot of towns that are smaller and larger that would love to have something like this, that they could come and benefit from all the different aspects of health.
Yeah.
So no, that's a great thing. So the big questions then, right? So we start getting into the hard-hitting ones. We've got the dietetics background, became a dietitian about a year ago. And as a side note, this is a great chance to reiterate what you said, which is you have the undergraduate degree, the nutrition degree, and then you have the 1,200 hours of supervised practice as a counselor. That comes with an additional 600 hours of didactic learning, and those 1,800 hours are the hours that make a dietitian, right? I sometimes like to reinforce that for those of you out there that use the word nutritionist or see a nutritionist. Nutritionist is not a clinical profession. It's not a medical credential. There are nutritionists out there that have doctorates in biochemical nutrition. There's also nutritionists out there that went to a weekend seminar and also sell soaps and bath salts on the side. Nutritionist really doesn't mean anything. You always have to get more background on what they actually know and study and how they've learned. But when you hear someone call themselves a registered dietitian or a registered dietitian nutritionist, RD or RDN for short, that means there's the undergraduate degree, and that means there's an 1,800-hour supervised learning experience that trained us not just in nutrition, but how to motivate people, how to facilitate behavior change, how to meet people where they are, how to go through the stages of change, and how to work through cultural and social and psychological aspects of food. And so we have this fantastic dietitian here in Altoona as a part of the case-specific nutrition team. But what I'm more interested in, and I think what the audience would be more interested in, is sort of your nutrition mantra. Obviously, at Case Specific, we sort of have that one diet and one mindset does not fit all. We try and work with each client individually. But will you tell us a little bit more about what your nutrition mantra is? We'll say, how you like to approach working with people, and then if that how that tied in well with Case Specific Nutrition to make you want to put up with me.
Yeah. So. The reason that case-specific nutrition, I think it's all in the name, and that's the reason that really, really drew me initially to it. But what I always try to focus on is just how case-specific nutrition is, because I like to use the example, if there were to be one diet that was an optimal diet for health, performance, wellness, etc., which there isn't, but if there was, and it was a diet that one person couldn't stick to for more than a couple days, then technically it's not an optimal diet. Yeah, it definitely comes down to the individual, what's going to work for them, and where a lot of my frustration, I guess, whenever I was first getting into this field came from was if you get on social media, you will see how many different people pushing how many different diets.
Yeah.
And the whole idea behind that is not just because one thing works for somebody else, it's never going to work for everybody. It's like if someone were to be sick and you gave them a medication and then someone else is sick and you say, well, this medication worked for me, so you take the same thing. Yeah. It's individualized for everybody. And so I guess my main mantra is just that your nutrition is specific to you and what's going to be optimal for you is specific to you. It takes into account everything, and that's something whenever I meet with people I always try to focus on. It's like I'm not just going to tell you what to eat. Like, we're going to look at your schedules, your life, how you manage your stress, how you're sleeping, if you work out, how you work out, all of those things, because all of those at the end of the day are going to impact what you eat throughout the day.
Yeah.
So
Wonderful, and I totally echo. Obviously, that's
Mm-hmm.
why we decided we wanted
Case
to work
specific,
together,
yeah.
and that's why case specifics in the name. But it's so well said that it's the word diet has such a negative name now, right? Because it's associated with restriction and rigidity, but in reality, we all have a diet, and our diet is what we currently eat.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we talk to people about paying attention to their diet, we're not prescribing them to go on a diet or to follow a diet template, but instead increasing awareness and increasing intention, asking people about their schedule, like you said, what their interests are, what their goals are, what their purposes are in life, and how can their diet, aka how they eat, support those behaviors, support those ambitions, support those ideals. And whether it's somebody that's trying to change, change body composition for a powerlifting meet so that they can leverage the appropriate power for their weight, or whether it's somebody that's trying to get a better handle on their health because their stress and their work schedule has allowed them to lose sight of their personal needs over the course of years, and now they have medical diagnoses and complications, working with them to try and develop a routine that fits for them and relieves their stress, right, and renews their ability to go forward. So I love it. Well said. So that's a beautiful thing. Last question, and I think that this is just kind of more of a fun one. But so you're building the office up right now. You have some patients. We're working on the insurance. Things are going to be live and running here in the coming weeks, which is exciting. Who are you most excited to sort of see and work with? Are there populations that you have the most experience with, or that you like to work with, or is there sort of a variety that you enjoy?
Yeah, so the people, it's actually very similar to the people that I train. So I trained both kind of just general population people and people more on the athletic and the performance end. And I really but I really enjoy working with people more who are just pursuing health or pursuing fitness for the sake of pursuing fitness, or pursuing health for the sake of pursuing health. Just because to me that like general population, it's so much more of a challenge because it's more of like a puzzle. Like, how can we figure out what you need to do to fit for your life? And usually what people see is they are able to accomplish a lot more than what they think they're able to accomplish.
Yeah.
To use like using like training and fitness as an example, like a lot of people will see people doing a pull-up and they're like, well, I could never do a pull-up.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, no, you can. Like we can get you doing that, And it's like, and same with nutrition. Like if people have been a certain weight their whole life, they'll think, I've always been. This is the lowest weight I've been my whole adult life.
Yeah.
I can never break free from that. And it's like, no, you can, and we can definitely help you to do that. And I think that's why I like that general population the best. It's because usually they're able to achieve so much more than that they want. And it's so much more of a complex kind of maneuvering of how to get there, because you have to take into account their whole life, and you get to know people better than sometimes you do with just a given athlete or something. So that's why I really like working with the general population people.
Yeah.
So if I had to pick a group that I'm the most excited to work with more frequently, that would be it.
Yeah, so it's Nancy Clark, who's a very famous dietitian, right? She wrote the Nancy Clark Sports Nutrition Guide, which is probably the single most well-known text on sports nutrition that exists. She refers to that population as ordinary mortals.
Ordinary
right? Because
mortals.
she works with professional athletes. Yeah. So she says there's athletes, there's weekend warriors, and then there's ordinary mortals. Mm-hmm. And I think that's well said, right? Ordinary mortals are the people that, they may have diabetes, they may have high blood pressure, they may have chronic disease, they may not. They may just be somebody who's trying to explore exercise or explore eating as a result of just starting a new job or having a new schedule or a new shift. Ordinary mortals are us, right? They're the people that sort of make this country and make this world go round, so to speak. But it's neat because in that population you do get to see a lot of diversity. But what's exciting is everybody benefits from moving in some way, right? And paying or having more intention and awareness of why they eat, what they eat, and how they eat. And so when you work with individuals like that, you really do get to meet them where they are and spend that time helping them find success, find happiness. Where a lot of times working with professional athletes, which I do and I enjoy, it's extremely detailed, it's very numbers driven, it's very directive, right? Where it's here, do this kind of thing. And then on the other side, which I'd call like the more clinical, like weight loss, which isn't the health and wellness setting, but it's that like objective, harsh weight loss, clinic. Mm-hmm. That's where it's same thing. It's follow this template, no questions, no excuses. That doesn't get to the root of the problem, right? That doesn't get to the individual. That doesn't help them explore new ideas and open their mind to new ways of living, which to what you said, people show up and everybody suffers from what's called wasati, which David Kahneman, he's a Nobel Prize winner in behavioral economics, he coined that term, and it stands for what you see is all there is, right? Which is the idea that we don't know what we don't know, and all we know is what's in front of us in our life. And as practitioners, our role and our job sometimes is to help people see new things so that the things that they thought they never could do all of a sudden have potential and possibility, and then we can work together with them on that path forward. So general population is neat because that means that you really do like to work with all people dealing with their individual problems, and that is such an asset for this community and for this for this fitness center, I'm going to call it, this performance center, if we'd like to. So there you have it, folks. We have a rare sighting of another Guyatitian who has a really, really wonderful desire to help people live their life and optimize their life, and believes in that case-specific way of life. And I thank you for taking the time to sit with me and be able to learn more about you and let people know about you, but then also kind of remind the public what case-specific nutrition means, what our ideal is, and what our mantra is and how we share that together.
Yep.
What's the best way for people to get a hold of you if they want to learn more about the Case-Specific Nutrition Altoona office?
So you can get on altoonanutrition.com, and that has both my phone number, email. You can come into the gym here. It's on 2927 Beale Avenue in Altoona, so that's another great way. And
come check it out.
Yeah, come check us out here. But the best way is probably the website, or on social media, Instagram, Brad Beatty Nutrition, and Facebook, Case-Specific Nutrition Altoona.
Yep, and you'll get updates about the Altoona office on all of our major Case-Specific Nutrition platforms as well. The Facebook Case-Specific Nutrition, the Instagram, as well as for our Inner Circle members on the Facebook group. So stay tuned. We're really excited. We'll be posting pictures as the office gets prettier and prettier. But in the meantime, Brad is starting to take on some people. And right now we're finishing up the insurance, so that's coming along and should be ready in the coming weeks. So don't hesitate to reach out and get started opening your mind and seeing what else there is in the world of health and wellness. Thanks again, Brad.
Yeah, thank you.